Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Bites of Italy. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Scotty. This is episode 29 of the Bites of Italy podcast. Over the last two episodes, we visited South Tyrol and explored the culinary traditions of mountain towns, Bolzano and Bressanone. We even put on our ski boots and recommended some great places to eat on the slopes.
And today, we're staying in the mountains, but crossing regions. We head to Lombardy to one of the highest and most unique destinations in the Italian Alps, Livigno. Our goal is to discover the culinary side of this town and see what makes the local food so special.
Livigno is called the Little Tibet of the Alps, and for a good reason. It sits at an impressive 1,816 meters above sea level in the Valtellina region. And even though it's tucked right up against the Swiss border, it's quite easy to get to, especially in winter when there is a daily bus service connecting the town with the main cities and airports.
You might know this place for its incredible skiing conditions. The season often runs deep into May. But it's not just famous for snow. It operates under this unique tax-free status, which makes it a hub for high-value shopping.
And looking ahead, Livigno is also set to host all the snowboarding and freestyle skiing events for the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics.
Exactly. So, today we basically distilled our sources down into 3 absolutely essential dining experiences that we believe capture the true essence of Livigno. From high-altitude dairy to craft beer brewed above the clouds. We want to make sure that you, dear listener, eat just as well as you ski, hike, or shop.
Okay, let's unpack this. If you want to understand mountain culture, you have to start where it all begins, right? With the dairy.
We were genuinely surprised by how much things in Livigno revolve around milk and cheese. Now we know that Livigno cheeses are truly unique Alpine specialties. So, our first stop is the Latteria di Livigno, meaning the Dairy of Livigno. It's an institution.
It truly is. Latteria di Livigno is a place where tradition becomes a modern reality. It functions as a production facility, cafe with gelateria, dairy restaurant, and shop all in one. And the setting alone is worth a visit. I mean, it's located at the end of a walking and cycling path surrounded by meadows. The area has an incredibly picturesque landscape. If you can grab a seat on the outdoor terrace, the view is just unbeatable. Perfect for a sunny break all year round.
Yeah, it is a pretty scenic and easily accessible spot. You can reach it on foot or by car. Parking is free for 90 minutes. Or you can just hop on the free local bus.
Okay, that's super convenient. But let's get to the most important part, the flavor. What's the secret? Why is high-altitude cheese so renowned?
It all comes down to the milk. Cows graze in these high-altitude meadows, which are home to unique, nutrient-rich grasses and herbs not found at lower elevations. This specific diet, combined with lower temperatures, results in milk with a significantly higher fat content and truly complex flavor profiles. You can immediately taste it in local cheeses like Caseria and Bido. The quality is simply unparalleled.
That makes so much sense. It's an ecosystem that basically forces high quality. So, when you get to the Latteria di Livigno, what's a must-try?
The ice cream is exceptional, but what really stands out is the ricotta. It's unbelievably fresh. I mean, it's made right there, so it has this almost ethereal lightness and freshness that, commercial versions just can't touch. Served with local honey and nuts or wild berries, it's so light and creamy yet deeply satisfying.
And they have options for a quick lunch too, right? Perfect for a midday break.
Totally. Cheese tasting boards, superb sandwiches and salads with homemade cheese, or local Bresaola, which is air-dried salted beef. A classic from that region.
Exactly, and the atmosphere is super casual. But this isn't just a place to eat. It's an educational experience. You can actually see the storage areas, the machinery they use for production. They even offer guided tours where you can learn about the whole process. It's a great way to actually understand the tradition behind what you're eating.
And a key practical tip, this is where you buy your souvenirs.
100%. The shop is well stocked, and they offer vacuum packing, which is essential if you want to bring this flavor back home. Some cheeses are packaged so beautifully that they make perfect gifts.
And Latteria is open daily from morning until 7 p.m. So, it covers you for breakfast, a light lunch, a snack, and even an aperitivo, as they also serve local beer. They even partnered with a local craft brewery to create a special stout beer with added lactose, making it smoother and creamier.
Speaking of this innovative milk stout, the spirit of collaboration leads us directly to its co-creator, our next stop. Let's talk about Birrificio 1816. And it's right near the center of town, across from Valtellina, the largest ski resort in Livigno, so it's easy to find.
A truly seamless transition. We shift from morning dairy to evening dinners and drinks at the highest located brewery in Europe.
Yeah, the name 1816 is a dead giveaway. It's about altitude, right? 1816 meters above sea level, one of Europe's highest breweries. But the altitude is more than just a cool name. It really speaks to the skill involved here.
Absolutely. Owner Andrea Rocca is a beer sommelier and brewmaster. He opened the brewery with the idea of bringing something new and unique to the Livigno region, capitalizing on the quality and purity of the local water. Today, the site is a driving force in Italian craft brewing, producing around 15 different labels, including smoked beers, gluten-free and alcohol-free beers, as well as beers brewed with gentian, a root that grows here above 2,000 meters and is very typical of the Livigno area.
That's seriously impressive. But what blew me away was the distribution policy.
Right. They distribute their beer exclusively in Livigno, nowhere else. And that raises an interesting question. Why would you forfeit a global market like that?
It stems from a very strong German brewing theory that the best craft beer, often unfiltered and unpasteurized, is drunk as close to the place of production as possible because it's extremely sensitive to light, temperature, and movement. So, by keeping distribution local, they guarantee that every pint you drink will taste exactly as the brewmaster intended. It's a crazy commitment to quality, and you have to come to Livigno to experience it.
The brewhouse is located right inside the restaurant, allowing guests to observe every stage of production. Let's first talk about the atmosphere there, because it's truly eccentric.
That's one word for it. You walk in, the place looks great, it's well maintained. You sit down at a table, and they immediately give you peanuts. And the custom is that you shell them, and the shells end up on the floor. So you might sit down, and there's already a pile of shells from the previous person. It's this kind of inviting chaos.
Yeah, my inner neat freak was having a hard time.
I can imagine. But it forces you to relax a bit, although it's definitely not a place for people with peanut allergies.
A very, very important warning. Now, let's move to the food. It's a steakhouse and pizzeria, but we love it for its classic regional dishes.
The food is as robust as the atmosphere. Be sure to start with the Valtellina Sciatt, named after the dialect word for toad. These are small, crispy, deep-fried buckwheat balls. The key element, however, is the warm, melt-in-your-mouth caseria cheese. You get a satisfying crunch on the outside and then this rush of savory, melted goodness on the inside. They're incredibly flavorful and highly addictive. A beautiful example of mountain comfort food.
For a main course, try one of their most iconic dishes, skewer gambrinus. It's smoked pounded beef, wrapped in bacon, roasted over embers, and served on those massive half-meter-long wooden sticks with sweet and sour sauce and fries. The presentation is wild. You get an incredible taste of fire and smoke and pure culinary theater.
And if you're not into skewers, the pork shank is another must-try. It's marinated in their beer and then slow-cooked until it falls apart and served with potatoes or spätzle, an egg-based pasta with a dumpling-like consistency. It's a true masterpiece.
And for dessert, we must mention the ultimate tribute to the brewery, the Birramisù. It's a tiramisu with Savoiardi biscuits soaked in Weizen wheat beer instead of coffee. It's surprisingly good.
Weizen beer itself is truly excellent. It's fresh, slightly cloudy, with notes of banana and clove. It's my favorite beer at 1816, perfect after a long day of skiing.
I lean towards the Segale rye beer. It's a fantastic, truly Alpine beer with a bold taste, just like the mountains it comes from. A wonderful tribute to local culture.
It is also worth mentioning that the waitstaff and bartenders are young and very friendly, and they're great at recommending pairings, such as the Bock with pork shank I mentioned earlier. This full-bodied red beer with bold, intense notes perfectly complemented every bite of meat. Overall, we recommend this place for a beer with friends or a quick, hassle-free snack.
Yeah, the place offers a robust experience, whether you come for a full meal or just a local beer. Now, before we move on, if you're enjoying this episode, this is a great moment to subscribe to the Bites of Italy podcast.
By subscribing to our channel, you won't miss any future episodes, whether we're exploring Olympic host cities, mountain towns, or Italy's most iconic culinary destinations.
All right, now we're off to our final stop in Livigno, Mond Vei, which means the world of the past in the local dialect. It's a typical Alpine hut setting, conveniently located near the Modellino cable car. The restaurant is bright and cozy, decorated with plenty of warm wood. Summertime there is the outdoor seating area, a particularly pleasant spot.
And while the name suggests, old world charm, the cuisine is more of a modern trattoria style. It's a genuine representation of contemporary Alpine dining that respects tradition but also embraces innovation and a fresh approach to preparing and serving dishes. They focus on carefully selected fresh ingredients and seasonality.
They serve pizza, but only for lunch. Dinner is reserved for the authentic flavors of Valtellina. This is where you come to refuel after a long day. You need those calorie-dense meals. You need that warmth.
Exactly. Let's run through the list of must-try dishes, starting with Bresaola. It's locally sourced and aromatic, but they serve it in a really creative way here, don't they? It's paper-thin, as usual, but instead of the standard lemon slice, it's served with chanterelles, avocado, and crispy Parmesan cheese. It just melts in your mouth.
You also have to try frittelle di taros. These rustic pancakes are made with mashed potatoes, green beans, and cassera cheese. They're elevated here by being served with a rich cheese fondue and fresh spinach. It's a dish that warms you from the inside out.
A visit to Livigno wouldn't be complete without trying the region's typical pasta dish, Pizzoccheri, which we also mentioned in the Lake Como episode.
Oh, absolutely. This is the definition of Alpine comfort food. It's this hearty traditional buckwheat pasta with potatoes, Savoy cabbage, and just tons of local cheese all melted together with garlic-infused butter. And the fact that they make the dough completely from scratch, it just elevates the whole thing.
It really does. Then for the main course, we move on to polenta Taragna. And this isn't your typical yellow polenta. This is a dark, rich version, made with buckwheat and corn flour, blended with local cheeses. And here they serve it with a poached egg, porcini mushrooms, Livigno cheese fondue, and toasted pine nuts for texture. They've taken a simple peasant dish and transformed it into a work of art.
Okay, after a meal like that, you need something light to finish.
You do. And their signature dessert, Alpine Bavarian cream, is the perfect choice. It's a cold dessert resembling semi-freddo, with mountain herbs, honey, and blueberries. It's refreshing yet deeply rooted in local tradition. Or if you prefer, they make their ice cream on site. Batch freezers are literally visible right at the counter.
Finally, we should touch on local beverages, which can aid with such a hearty meal.
For sure, they have an extensive wine list featuring many local red wines from Valtellina, but a unique local digestive liqueur is Taneda. It's made from yarrow, an alpine herb that grows at altitudes above 2,000 meters in these little side valleys near Livigno.
Plus, the service here is great, very attentive, friendly, and speaks excellent English, which is helpful if you want to ask about the origins of something like Taneda. Mond Vei is the perfect place for a long, special dinner.
So, if we zoom out from these three spots, what's the story here? What ties them all together?
I think it's the unique culinary DNA shaped by necessity and geography. Livigno's culinary scene proves that local limitations can be transformed into a high-quality, authentic experience.
And these spots really offer you a window into the mountain lifestyle, not just a meal. They're perfect for anyone looking for something authentic and delicious that gives them genuine insight into how life thrives at 6,000 feet, or 1,816 meters above sea level. All three places are open to tourists as they all have English menus. So, if you find yourselves in Livigno, be sure to visit them and let us know what you think. We love hearing from you.
And so ends our culinary tour of Livigno, where altitude, isolation, and tradition shape a truly distinctive food culture. Make sure to join us for our next episode, where we'll be heading to a very different kind of destination.
Yeah, we have to admit that as skiing fans, we are getting more and more excited as the upcoming Olympic Games get closer.
If you've been following Bites of Italy, you know we've already explored Milan, the city where the opening ceremony will take place, and where many of the ice sports will be hosted.
Today we talked about Livigno, which will be one of the venues for the Games, and it's been fascinating to explore its food culture through that Olympic lens. So, naturally, in our next episode, we're heading to Verona, the city that will host the closing ceremony of the Olympics.
Verona is worth visiting for so many reasons. Its delicious local cuisine, its romantic atmosphere linked to Romeo and Juliet, its stunning UNESCO-listed historic center, and its deep Roman and Renaissance history, including the breathtaking Verona Arena, which will take center stage during the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games.
We'll be exploring what to eat, where to go, and why Verona deserves a spot on your Italian itinerary.
Thanks for listening to Bites of Italy, and as always, we'll see you in the next episode, one delicious destination at a time.
Ciao!